We're in Rock Springs, Wyoming, Forza Americana, where we have come upon one of the most classic self-defense slash murder cases slash mysteries in the frontier history. Imagine this. This is Elk Street. Come up here, come with me as we go up Elk Street. Imagine it's 1977 and they're at night and this place is hopping here. Down Elk Street, Upstrut. We've got prostitution. We've got drug transactions. And guess who had to come disrupt the fun? The drive-by media. That's right. There was a power plant being built in early 1970s. A bunch of workers in well-paid jobs coming here to Rock Springs, flooding from the surrounding areas. High-paying jobs. A lot of workers, a lot of young men converge on Rock Springs in Wyoming, and a lot of things happen when a lot of young men converge on this place. The Outlaw Inn, okay? The Outlaw Inn, which is now a Best Western, is the center of the town. It's considered, in the 1970s, one of the higher-end hotels. Now it's still called the Best Western Outlaw Inn. A buttressing Elk Street where everything is happening here, where young men are in the streets, prostitutes are in the street, drugs are in the street, beer, liquor, everything you could imagine. And who had to ruin it all? Dan Rather in 60 Minutes, and the drive-by media comes out and makes a huge deal of what's going on here. Oh, there's prostitution. Oh, there's alcohol. Oh, there's young men with money building a power plant. The Americana, the American dream here. And Dan Rather had to come ruin it for everybody. And he comes and does a media expose on 60 Minutes, drive by, and he does it with night vision cameras catching all the bad people doing bad things, and it blew this town and county up, Sweetwater County.
If dope addicts and prostitutes are plaguing the streets of your city, chances are someone is being paid off at City Hall. If gambling is rampant in town and public funds are disappearing, chances are there's a cover-up going on at City Hall. Who pays off who? Who covers up what? Tonight, 60 Minutes looks at charges of payoff and cover-up in one American city where vice runs rampant and a handful of men run the city as they please. New York, Detroit, Los Angeles, Chicago? Wrong. Not this time.
The corruption we're talking about is in a city far off in the hills of Wyoming, in the bone-dry country they call Sweetwater County.
Sweetwater County is a land of vastness and long vistas, of rocks, boulders, sagebrush, and moving sand. Its hub is Rock Springs. They say that when you come out here, you should set your watch back 50 years. That in these shale hills, you can still find some of the old-fashioned virtues of life in the West, and more to the point, some well-known vices that never seem to go out of style.
When the sun goes down in Rock Springs, the town becomes a Western sin city. Hookers openly work the streets and the bars, each of them earning a minimum of $1,000 a week.
Well, what can you spend, 30?
Well, what kind of work for 30?
What kind of work do you think you're going to get? The more you spend, the more you can do. Like I say, I don't know what you want to spend.
Now, if you're saying, so what? Remember, this is not New York or New Orleans or Chicago. This is Rock Springs, with more working hookers than you can shake a wallet at. By conservative estimate, prostitution alone is a $2 million a year business here in this little Wyoming town. A special night lens enabled us to film it all in almost total darkness. What we are exploring tonight are charges that there's organized vice with organized protection involving influential people who run this town. This is the way it works. There are 4 bars that feed off the trade, some with gambling in the back room. And where there are prostitutes and pimps, there are always drugs. When the bars close, action shifts to Earl Dotsey's Townsend Club, an after-hours joint, 2 a.m. to dawn. We could not film inside, but it's shoulder to shoulder, girls and their johns, and almost a guarantee of a fight a night. The local police will hurry to stop a fight, but hardly ever to arrest for prostitution. By daylight, this street could be any small town in the West. There's nothing new about prostitution in Rock Springs. Indeed, it's an old tradition here, going back 75, 100 years ago, in the mining camp and early railroading days. This street, K Street, where the ladies of the evening now hustle in the open, there were old-style brothels. Over there, above what is now the pawn shop, was the Royal. Down the street, above what is now the OK Bar and Lounge, was the Ritz. And on this side of the street, above what is now the new Grand Cafe, was the Delamar. And they had what was called the Cheyenne Room. They spelled it S-H-Y-A-N-N. The brothels were part of a boomtown past from the railroad and mining days. This has always been a rough little city. Butch Cassidy was a butcher here. Then he and his wild bunch hid out in the nearby hills. And when the Union Pacific brought in cheap Chinese laborers to mine the coal to run the line, the local citizenry killed 300 Chinese one day in the Great Chinese Massacre of 1885. About 20,000 people live here now, almost double what it was just 5 years ago, because of an energy boom that has hit this whole region. Rock Springs even had a tent city for a while to handle the overflow.
And everybody gets up in high alert. The drive-bys are here and come do a report. New York City media conglomerate comes freaking out that someone else is having too much fun and the money's flooding out here. So everybody gets all worked up and panic. So what does Rock Springs and Sweetwater County and Wyoming do? They convene panels, they do all this. Now that the media, the drive-bys have exposed them, they hire a very well-known Wyatt Earp type in Ed Cantrell, riding in on horseback with his spurs in his boots, with his gun tucked in his belt, no holster, and this, he was Indiana State Patrol, then Wyoming State Patrol. He's just this big-time detective, Ed Cantrell. Well, Ed Cantrell comes into town as the newly hired public safety director after the drive-bys get done and leave town. Cantrell comes here and he starts cleaning up the city. And by cleaning up the city, I mean likely participating in its outright debauchery and corruption for this clean lawman. And what do you know? A murder happens, or self-defense happens, right over there. Right there, which is now the visitor center for Rock Springs, right behind me. Rather than cleaning up this city, Ed Cantrell blows away his own detective he hired from New York City. This 29-year-old Michael Rosa is killed here. So here we are in the parking lot of the Silver Dollar Casino and Saloon back in 1977, 78. This place was popping with drugs and prostitutes and alcohol and money sloshing through here, Elk Street, all of it. And what's also happening in here, Ed Cantrell is right here. Ed Cantrell with Michael Rosa and two other detectives, or might have even been the police chief, and another police officer sergeant. And they're sitting here waiting for Michael Rosa, who was hired by the city of Rock Springs to come clean up. He's a New York City detective, tough, grizzled guy, and everybody is just at their wits' end with the corruption. And he, Michael Rosa, is about to testify to the grand jury about corruption in the city. And all of a sudden, he gets blown away right here by Ed Cantrell, who claims it was self-defense. That's right, Ed Cantrell is sitting in a vehicle here, waiting for Michael Rosa to come out, dispatch. Michael Rosa's in the Silver Dollar, enjoying himself at the saloon, comes out with a glass of wine in his hand, comes, sits in the back seat, the driver side back seat. Cantrell's in the passenger seat, and there's a argument. The drive-bys have put everybody on high alert. Everybody's stressed. Probably they're all corrupt. They're in on the take. Cantrell, riding in on horseback, is either a really good, honest lawman or he is a corrupt, dishonest, in on the take lawman. Ends up from right here pulling his gun out and firing behind Michael Rosa right between the eyes. Bam! Nails him right between the eyes. Claims it was self-defense. In a famed trial by Gerry Spence, a well-known criminal defense attorney who had never lost a case, whether he was a prosecutor or defense attorney, Gerry Spence comes spectacularly to the scene of Sweetwater. They moved the trial to another county, and Gerry Spence puts on such courtroom theatrics that Ed Cantrell is found not guilty, completely exonerated by a jury, as they believe the story is of self-defense. And famously, Gerry Spence hypnotizes Ed Cantrell on the stand to get him to recreate the events of how a innocent or possible murderer was going to shoot him. The gun was not unholstered, but Gerry Spence allegedly had proven in court that it was unpinned. And his wine that he came out of the Silver Dollar Casino with, the wine is put between his feet. There it is, a piece of American history right here in these very footsteps. The Outlaw Inn, now a Best Western. The Silver Dollar Saloon and Casino, right over there. And we are in Rock Springs, a beautiful town where a little slice of Americana history, right here on Force Americana with Z. This is it, where Ed Cantrell, what's more American than claiming self-defense after you blow somebody away who's your own detective in the middle of a boomtown in Rock Springs, Wyoming. An incredible story, an incredible case. Gerry Spence went on to have a storied legal career after Ed Cantrell gets off and acquitted.
What we have here is a blend of permissiveness and criminality. Violations of the law, failure to prosecute, cover-ups, allegations of much more. It is beyond journalism in this case to establish innocence and guilt. Many people here are saying now that job can be done only by starting with an honest grand jury.
Corruption in Rock Springs is only part of a scandal that now stretches to the state capitol in Cheyenne. It involves charges against the governor, the attorney general, and the Democratic chairman of Wyoming. Next week on 60 Minutes, high noon in Cheyenne.